Hello students, in this video I'm going to explain how the international market selection is driven by different factors and how large scale and small and medium sizes enterprise make this kind of decision. Let's start with a single question. Why do you think that it's important to identify the right market to enter when you start to operate abroad? Think about it a little bit. Why you think that's important? First of all, we may think that if you choose the right market, this will have a huge influence and the likelihood of success of your business. And also, the country that you're going to enter will make will be very important to define what kind of adaptations you need to apply on your marketing programs. Sometimes you can adapt some parts of your marketing programs depending on the country, and in other contexts, may be necessary to create a lot of things from the beginning, from the scratch. And finally, the way that the countries that you're going to choose, you have a direct effect on the capability of your business to coordinate the foreign operations. So when you choose the right market, the decision about the market that you're going to operate, you'll be basically one of the most important factors that will define your success as a business. And we can say that small and medium-sized enterprise and large and scales enterprise, basically they are now converging and making decisions very similar when they choose to enter in a new market, in a new country. And as you can see in this graph here, basically in the past, there is a huge difference in the way that small and medium-sized enterprises make decisions if you compare with the large-scale enterprise. Basically, usually in the past, large-scale enterprises are aimed to look to the future. They are usually looking to the long term, 10, 20 years in the future, to see if that decision in the long run will give superior performance to the company. And in the past, small and medium-sized enterprise, basically they are looking for the short term. They are basically looking to have an immediate profit and very short run profits and short run goals in the company in their strategy. But over the years, basically, since the market is changing so fast, what is happening? Basically, large-scale enterprise now realize that it's very hard to have these long-term objectives because basically, in 10 years, 20 years, everything can change. So the big companies are now aware that they need to have something in the middle. They cannot just look long-term in the future. And what's happening with the small and medium-sized enterprises? Basically, now they are aware that if they don't have some strategy and some medium, like 2-3 years objectives in the future, probably they are going to make a lot of mistakes. And looking in the short term can create a lot of losses, a lot of inferior performance for business. And when we see this convergence, basically we know that these companies are now reacting much faster to changes in the environment if you compare with the past. And there are some other factors that explain that. First, the downsizing of large-scale enterprise. So now they have more independent coordination, they have value network with small and medium-sized enterprise, and now they're using more outsourcing. So this means that they are using, this means that these companies are now more prepared to change more fast in their strategies. Also, both companies know that since the environment is changing so fast, they need to react more, they need to have a prompt response to any change in the market. And also some companies are not waiting for the change to happen. They are the main force of change. So they have an emergent strategic approach. They see an opportunity and they say, okay, I'm going to use that for achieving my goals. And finally, we have the fast technological disruptions and firms' innovation focus. So basically, when companies know that technology can be a competitive advantage to leverage innovation, so many companies are moving to that, and with that, large-scale enterprise and small and middle-sized enterprise are now more reactive and they are more responsive and more action-oriented. And this means that they have a converging view on how to make global strategy. But even nowadays, we still have different processes by which small and medium-sized enterprise and large-scale enterprise will make decisions when entering into a foreign market. First, large-scale enterprise, you use a step-by-step and low-risk entry. So basically, they are going to choose one country and then they are going to test their strategy there. And after some period of time, they are going to invest more money. They will start with some kind of partnership or just by exporting their products or services. And so they are step by step. Choose one country with a very low risk entry mode, and after that they are going to invest more and look for other countries. In large scale enterprise usually make this decision of entering in many countries in the same time, and most of them, especially the big companies, they usually choose to invest more in the beginning because they know with more investment they can have greater return, and so they are more prone to accept the risk. Let's look to the other factor. Small and medium-sized enterprise usually look to countries to enter in new countries where you have a lot of similarities in terms of culture and distance. So basically they are going to move from one country very close to yours in terms of physical distance and cultural distance. And large-scale enterprise usually accept to move far away in terms of distance and also far away in terms of culture, especially when they try to acquire new business, a small business, and since they have the money to do that, they can accept these cultural differences and the risk associated with that. And also the physical distance will not be a big problem for them because they have the technology and they have the money for making people working or traveling around to keep their operations in different countries. Also, small and middle-sized enterprise, usually they are highly adaptive and they seek for new opportunities. So basically, they can change a lot of things in their business models when they enter into a new country because they are small, they don't have a lot of structure, they don't have a lot of bureaucracy. And also, they try to use this flexibility in order to gain some results with a perceived opportunity. And usually, large-scale enterprise, they have a very formal process, so they're not so prone to change everything. Usually, they are not going to change the entire business model, and in some way, they're more aware about the risk. And okay, they have a lot of money, so if they lose some money, it's not that problem. But of course, they are going to make a huge and detailed evaluation and assessment of risks. And finally, small and medium enterprise will usually be pushed to usually by customers and supply. So, for instance, suppose that you find out that your main customers are now moving to a new country, and then you know that if you don't go with him, you're going to lose some important budget from this customer. Then you go with them, This is especially related to the presence in value chains or supply chains, and small firms then move to new countries to enter in this value chain and have profit there with their existing customers that are now moving abroad. And large-scale enterprises usually are more proactive because they have more access to information, and because of that, they find new opportunities more easy than a small and middle-sized enterprise. And because of that, usually they don't wait to have a change in the market to move abroad. They usually look for these opportunities and use that to foster their business. In general, we can say that the way that companies will make a decision to enter in foreign markets are driven by two factors, the firm and the environment. So, in terms of firm, we have the internationalization and the overseas experience. So, companies with more internationalized companies and companies that are used to operate abroad, they usually have a more open and more they are more open to change and to have a little bit more risk when they enter there because they know what's happening, what's going on. The second factor, or the third, the size or the amount of resources of the firm. Usually, bigger firms will have more. They are more used to invest more money directly in the country when they enter into a new country. So big companies can enter into a new country by acquisitions or by a joint venture or even by a greenfield, starting a business in the country from the scratch, from nothing. And small companies usually will prefer to start with exports or you start with some kind of licensing for entering into a country or franchising that are intermediate entry modes that are less risky than the for foreign direct investment. Also, depending on the industry and the nature of business, companies will be driven to different ways. For instance, in some sectors, you usually enter into the country with your own factories and your own business. In mining industry, when you try to acquire new resources of real raw materials, this is one example where you have one way of entering them, usually by acquisitions or foreign direct investments. And in sectors like the services, intermediate entry modes where you have franchising or licensing of your business model, this is a very common way of entering into a new market. And internationalization goals. Some companies are planning to go abroad to increase their profit in the long run, so they invest a lot of money and they accept a lot of risks. And other companies, for instance, can enter into a country just to increase their brand equity globally. And in that case, usually they are not going to make such a high direct investment, and usually they are not so prone to accept the risk. And also the existing network of relationships. So a company with a lot of global networks, present in global value networks, these companies are not prone to move abroad. And companies that only serve local customers and have only local suppliers, usually they are more prone to stay at home, and when they move abroad, they will start with exports and less risky entry modes. And in terms of environment, we can say that the international industry structure is very determinant. So the presence of different suppliers, the different customers in different regions in the world, is an important factor that explains how companies will choose a new country to enter. And also the degree of internationalization of the market. If you're entering into a country where you have a lot of foreign companies operating there, you have people talking different languages, people that came from different cultures, usually this will make more easy for you to enter with entry modes that are more risky. You're going to invest more money. And finally, the host country in general will make a direct effect on the way that you're going to select the countries. So the market potential, we have the degree of competition that you have in each country, and also the physical distance that you have between home country and host country, and finally the cultural and social differences between the home country and host country. So if you have a lot of social institutions and cultural institutions that are very close when you compare home and host country, then it's more easy for you to pick up a more risky entry mode. But if the differences are large, then you probably are going to start step by step with an entry mode with low level of risk. These two factors in the firm and in the environment will be the ones that will drive companies in the way that they select the international markets segments. And to do that, they are going to use the international market selection process. And the objective of this video was to present how large-scale and medium-sized enterprise will be driven by different factors inside the firm and in the environment to make a decision on which countries they are going to operate. And with that in mind, you'll be able now to make the decision for your own business. And this process we're going to see in the next videos.